All right. Well, thank you so much. I've got Dustin Brohm on the line today. Thank you for listening to the Onion Juice podcast, and welcome aboard, Dustin. How you doing today?
Doing great. Thanks, Neil.
Awesome.
Always good to be on the
Awesome.
Onion Juice.
Awesome. You're becoming the, like I said before, man. You might become like the Bill Murray of the David Letterman show, where Bill was on his show all the time, and this is your second. You're the only repeat guest, Dustin, so far, man.
I'll
That's
take
good.
it. I take that as a big compliment, though. Thank you.
Good, man. I love what you put out, and you just released another blog post that really caught my attention, and from the looks of it, caught the attention of a lot of people. And the title of this blog post is "Driving for Uber" and how it helped get me more real estate business, and around building your real estate business, your network of people by driving for Uber. And so if you're listening to this and you want to see this and you haven't already seen Dustin's blog post, I did set up the word Dustin, so you can text Dustin to 44222. Again, text the word Dustin to 44222, and then this will automatically send you the link to this blog post. So Dustin, tell me about this blog post. Tell me just give me some history on this. Let's start there.
Sure. So about a month and a half ago, 2 months ago, something like that, one of my mentors in business, we were just talking about getting ourselves out there. If you want to be successful, if you want to grow your network, if you want to build your contact list, regardless what business you're in, this is not just a real estate thing. You need to get out there and network. And so he suggested that I think outside the box. So many people go to networking events, and I don't know if you've ever been to meetups or BNI groups or other networking events, and don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with them. I just feel there's a lot of it is just being inauthentic, because it's all about, here, let me pitch you so you can pitch me, or you pitch me and then I'll pitch you back, kind of thing. I just don't like that. That's not my style. And so I was thinking, well, heck, I love Uber as a rider. I think it's just an amazing, genius business model. I saw recently they were valued at $65 billion, and all they own is the software to make it all happen. It's amazing. So I was like, well, wait a minute. Uber drivers get paid to drive around all day and talk to people. Well, that could be an amazing way to meet some new people. So I definitely had to get out of my comfort zone a little bit, and I definitely had some hesitancy, some fear, I guess you could call it, that, because I was worried that people might think, oh, if you're driving Uber, you're not doing so well, so why would I ever want to work with you, and that kind of crap. But what happened is, so I applied to be a driver. About a week later, after the background check and everything, I was set up to drive. So I went out there and I just thought I'd give it a shot. I'll make a few extra bucks. What's the worst that can happen? What I found out is that I was driving a lot of people who are in Salt Lake, where I live, for business travelers, and other people that are here on vacation who obviously love Salt Lake. That's why they're visiting. And I was able to just be in a car with them with no distractions, just me and them having a conversation. And what I found is that the conversation naturally led, I asked them what they do for a living. They asked, hey, what else do you do besides driving Uber? And it opened the door to a natural conversation, not a weird, forced, unauthentic or inauthentic, whatever the word is, conversation about what I do for a living. So I was able to talk to them about my real estate company, searchsaltlake.com. And then we talking about the city itself, and they asked me what I like about it. So I talk about how affordable it is, talk about how our traffic is very, very, very low, and all this stuff about the city. So I'm able to just kind of pontificate, if you will, about Salt Lake City. And some of those people, if it was natural in the conversation, we'd exchange contact info. I'd give them one of my cards, they'd give me one of theirs. And so now they're a contact on my list. Some of them are seriously considering buying a home here in the very near future. And I I thought that this would be a good idea, but it wasn't until I got started that I realized what an awesome way to network it really is.
So good. So good. And I want to first point out that way to fight through the fear and it reminded me of when I started it, or actually it was during the recession when the bottom fell out, and we needed to put food on the table. I started delivering newspapers. And the reason I did that was because I didn't want anybody to see me. I needed to bring in extra money, but I didn't want anybody to see me. And and did you have any fear that maybe you would pick up a client or pick up somebody that you would see, and then also I just want to give you props to fight through that fear, which I want to talk about, but also to write this article and promote this. I just I applaud you for that, man.
Thank you.
Really good. It's
Thank
really
you.
good. So did you have fear? Take me through that. What was that like?
Yeah, I definitely did, because I feel like there's this perception out there that if someone's driving for Uber or someone's delivering pizzas or someone's delivering newspapers, that they're struggling, that they're not successful, that they're failing. And you know maybe that's the case with some people, but so what? People are struggling all over the place. That there's nothing wrong with that. And the fact that people, and I'm not talking about me, I'm talking about you and delivering papers and whoever else is out there doing what they need to do to pay their bills while still working on their business idea, while still building their business. That takes balls, and that takes, it's not for the weak. Most people would just quit what they're doing and go get a job.
Yep.
And so, I kind of got past that, and I was like, look, I don't really care what people think. Um, I did for the first week or so, but once I really started meeting people and having real in-depth conversations about what they do for a living, what I do for a living, about my city, about what I like about the city, and once I was able to get some really good, hot um, contacts with people that want to buy homes in the area, that's when it clicked for me. And I was like, you know what? This is absolutely a gold mine in the long term, because I'm just building my list. So once I saw the results, once I saw that it was working the way that I thought it would, actually better than I thought it would, that's when I really just I got over the fear. I got over that concern that, maybe someone might think that, oh, this guy's really struggling. And then, I'm making a few thousand extra bucks to drive around a network. So it's not a bad deal. People just need to sometimes get over your pride a little bit and do things that other people won't.
Yeah, I totally agree, and I also think that you putting this out there on your blog, which is a very well hit blog, you get a lot of it. You drive a lot of traffic to your blog, and you are being vulnerable there, and the people that are reading this, I think, have another level of trust and respect for you because you're doing this and because you're writing about it. And so that it's causing that attraction, and I would trust a guy that was okay with sharing this with everybody. I think that's great. And so yeah, man, I just want to first give you props for that, because I think it's just awesome. And it's exactly what we talk about here on the Onion Juice. And Dan in the background. It's exactly what we talk about on the Onion Juice too, is this being vulnerable and how this causes this attraction to your business and how people can relate with you, and then they want to do business with you. And so there's a whole nother layer of all of this that I think is yet to come by you putting this out there. It's good. I don't know if this was in on Snapchat. You might have said this, or maybe it was even in the article. But you brought up that this is not a short-term game. This is a long-term game. Can you elaborate on that a little bit?
Definitely. So just like, I believe I did cover it in the article, but with something like this, when you're networking, you cannot go into it expecting that tonight I hop in the car and go pick someone up and they say, hey, let me buy a house from you tomorrow. it doesn't work that way. Real estate doesn't work that way. Maybe you'll get lucky. It's not totally out of the question, but don't expect that, because then you're just going to be discouraged. You're there to build your contact list. You're there to build your network of people that may be interested in working with you to buy or sell a home in the future. And it's a numbers game. Like anything else, you just keep adding people to your list. You keep adding people to your list. And over time, maybe they're not in the market to buy a home today, but maybe 6 months from now, their job transfers to Salt Lake and all of a sudden they need a home. They don't know anyone in Salt Lake except for you. And you had the foresight and the confidence, I guess, to give them your business card. And, and you've been following up with them via email for the last 6 months, every month and a half or so, just to stay in touch. So it's one of those things that you have to start with your expectations of the long game. You're not doing this for short-term closings. And if, let's say you're in insurance or you're in any kind of sales whatsoever, the same principles apply. You're just there to build your contact list of people that may need your services or your product in the future. The key is just to keep adding people and adding people. And, a year from now, I'll probably have clients that I've driven with actual closings. I may actually have one in the next few months. I had a very hot buyer lead the other night who was in town from San Francisco. So
that's so awesome. And I can't wait for the results to start coming in from this and what this looks like. And if you're not following Dustin on Snapchat, make sure you are, because that's probably where we'll hear about it first. So and if like I said, if you're looking to follow Dustin, which I highly recommend you do, text the word Dustin to 44222, and I've got his snap code right on there. On that email. So what's it like being an Uber driver? Let's talk about that. And what's the process of becoming a Uber driver?
So, all right. So to start out, it's pretty straightforward, and it's all done through the app and online. You just have to make sure your car qualifies. Off the top of my head, I don't even remember, but I think your car has to be like a 2003 or newer, or, in some places, maybe a 2011 or newer. It just depends on the Uber program and the city you're in. But your car just has to meet certain qualifications. And then they do a background check on you. They do, like they make sure you're not a criminal or pedophile or, something awful. And then as long as your driving record is clean and everything, yeah, you can have some tickets, but they just want to make sure that you're not this awful, horrible driver and this awful, horrible human being with this huge rap sheet. As long as you can pass that, then you're good to go. And about a week later, you can start driving. All you have to do to start driving is you go to the Uber driver app, click a button that you're online, and then you start getting ride requests. You can sit there and wait for them. You can drive around and wait for them, but they'll start coming because Uber in Salt Lake City is definitely in demand quite a bit. And I believe it is all around the country for sure, all around the world. But, and then all of a sudden a ride request will come in. You can accept it or decline it. So once you accept it, then it gives you directions. You go pick them up. They hop in the car. The great thing is I don't have to handle payments. I don't have to worry about giving change. I don't have to do anything. The Uber app handles everything. All I do is drive from point A to point B and have a conversation with people along the way. I'd say 98% of everyone that I've driven, and I think up to this point I've done 200 or 300 total rides. 98% of people are very friendly, great people. I have not yet had any bad experiences. I've had a couple annoying, negative complaining people, but other than that, I mean, it's been a very positive experience.
So good. And so it's literally like if you just have an afternoon or an evening where you have nothing going, you just flip the app on and you're on. right?
Exactly. Yeah, like last night, I was like, oh, I have 2 hours. I know that there's some big events going on in downtown Salt Lake, which means that Uber it has what's called surge pricing, where if it's really busy, maybe it's like 2.5 times the normal fare is what it would cost a rider. So that extra amount goes to the driver. So if you drive during those high demand times, you're going to make more money. So I was like, oh, I'll cruise downtown, drive for a couple hours, and then I came back home. It's completely 100% up to you. You don't have to do it at any time. It's completely up to you and your schedule, which is why it works so great with anyone in business, because I can run my business, I can do my thing, I can show homes, I can meet with clients, and then if I have some extra time, I'll go drive Uber. And if something comes up, I can I can turn the app off and I'm done.
So good. It's so good, dude. I just love it. So you wrote this blog post and you put that out. Was it just last week that you dropped that one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just a week and a half ago.
Okay. What's the response been on this so far?
So I put it out there on some Facebook groups within the real estate community, like real estate agent Facebook groups. Whenever you put something into a Facebook group, you're going to get those weird negative people that just can't help but just be critical and negative and say stupid things that they'd never say to your face, but they're hiding behind the anonymity, if you will, of the internet. So I put it out there, and most people, 95% of people, are like, oh, that's really clever. That's a great idea. That sounds cool. A couple people were like, oh, sure, I'm just going to leave my most expensive purchase up to an Uber driver, or something stupid like that. But that's not the rule. That's the exception to the rule. Those people are few and far between. Just those nasty people that think they're better than others. But you're going to find that no matter what you do. Even though it's been a very positive response, and people are, because most people haven't thought of the concept, still, if you're not getting some negative feedback, if you're not getting criticism, you're probably not doing it right. You're probably not, dogs don't bark at parked cars. You've got to be out there doing something and taking action. And so I don't really care when I get criticism.
Let's stop you right there. Dogs don't bark at parked cars, man. That's a hashtag Dustin right there, man.
I love it.
That's good. That's good. Oh, that's so cool. So, some of this too got me thinking. Like, what are some other ways that we can network? And some of the original ways of the BNI groups, and I think a lot of us are just tired of that, and it just feels fake, and we're looking for this authentic way. And I feel like what you've brought to the table here is definitely an original idea, a different idea, and that's what we love doing here on the Onion Juice, is talking about things that are different. But it also brings up the idea of what other ideas are there out there? What other ways can we network that we're not that it's not forced, that it comes off authentic? So what other ideas do you have around that? I've got some that I'll share here, but I want to get your take on it first.
So, I've really thought about some other ways to do it. I really think Uber could be the best networking option out there, because you're in a car with someone for a long period of time, and it's just you and them. It's not a distraction. It's not like a BNI group where maybe your time's up, so now you go talk to someone else. But I've heard some other people say, oh, you could be a Starbucks barista, but you're only talking to people for 10 seconds. So that's not.
It's a job. It's a job too.
And that's a straight up job. You have no flexibility whatsoever. You can't do it around your business. I would say anything that gets you out there in the community where there's a group of people where you can just walk up and start conversations with neighbors. For example, my neighborhood, for like the 4th of July, they'll do a neighborhood breakfast. and everyone in the neighborhood comes together in one central location and has breakfast. It's like a potluck type thing. So, you can get out there and as you're eating in a casual, natural environment, you just talk to neighbors, ask about them, see what they do. They'll ask you what you do, and the conversation just naturally evolves. Um, you could always go to local high school sporting events, I guess, and and talk to other neighbors and parents who are there, and anything that just gets you out there around other people to where it's a natural environment to talk and have a conversation. There's a million things you can do after experiencing it and thinking about it. I just think Uber could be the best possible way to do it because you're getting paid to do it too.
Right. So that's like I got thinking about this to trying to prepare for the show, and one of the things that we talk about earlier on the podcast is this the advantage of when you go to champion a cause, and when you are standing behind something and promoting something other than your business. There's a lot of really good things that come out of it for content reasons and for social media, but this fits into this category as well, that the number of people that you'll meet, let's say that you are passionate about a homeless shelter, the number of people that you'll meet around food drives and around events for the shelter and fundraisers, and the people that are on the board, and the people that help homeless people acquire homes. There's just so many opportunities to network with people that you almost start to look at a BNI group as just a like it's just so fake. And if you can champion a cause, you can better that. The other idea too that we talked about a couple episodes ago was when you develop a show, when you're a media company that happens to sell real estate, as Gary Vaynerchuk talks so much about. When you do that, when you're a media company that happens to sell real estate, there's so many opportunities of interviewing people for that show, and for that, to bring that content in. And when you're interviewing people, that allows you to network with them and get to know them and help their business. And so is there any other ideas that you have around any of that? I know you mentioned like community events. Is there anything else that you can think of that we can add to this?
In terms of networking, or
Yeah.
I'd say we probably already covered them. I'm sure that there's things that I'm not even thinking of, but just think about, just go to like one of your local event calendars and just look at some of the events going on, and then go to some of those events. It doesn't really matter what it is, but if you're able to go hang out with like-minded people, for example, here in Utah, we just had our caucuses last night for the primary election. That's a great place to meet people and talk to people because they're all like-minded. So if you can find other local groups, other charities to get involved with, you name it, those are great places where you already know that you have something in common with people, which makes the conversations that much easier. So I would say just, rather than giving a list of 100 specific different things you could do to network, just to simplify it, just pull up a local events calendar, go to something that looks interesting to you, and just talk to people.
Bottom line, just get out there.
That's right. That's exactly right. And it helps if you get paid to do it. But, some people don't want to, maybe some people have an older car that doesn't qualify. That's fine. Or they, for whatever reason, don't want to drive for Uber. That's fine. There's plenty of other things. Heck, just go sit at Starbucks and start talking to people.
Right. It's good. Well, Dustin, man, I thank you so much for being on the show again, man. You're the man, and I'm not kidding, man. I really feel like you're going to be the Bill Murray of the Onion Juice podcast, because Dustin, you do a lot of awesome things, and we're I know another episode we're gonna be working on here is around Facebook advertising and some of the things that you've done around Facebook advertising. So if you're not following Dustin yet, you really want to be. He is a realtor at heart, and really gets the whole providing value not only to his clients and customers, but he also pours out to the real estate community. So thank you for that, Dustin.
You bet. Thank you. And I do want to add something real quick that's extremely important when it comes to networking in general, especially with Uber. So as you could imagine, Uber does not want their drivers throwing business cards at people left and right. Right? They'd have a serious problem with that, and they'll probably get your ass booted from the system, as you should. So here's the key. You want to make sure that you're only exchanging contact information when it's natural, when it makes sense within the conversation. Don't make it weird. You know, if you didn't really have a conversation with anyone aside from a few yes or no questions, maybe they didn't want to talk, you don't hand them a business card. You only hand them a business card had a great conversation, and you just take your card and you say, hey, it was great meeting you. Let's stay in touch. Give them one of your cards, ask them if they have one too. Simple as that. It has to be natural. Otherwise, we're going to be weirded out. Like, oh, this guy's just trying to, just handing me a business card. That's all he cares about. That's actually going to work against you, and it defeats the whole purpose of what we're trying to do here. So it has to be natural. Don't make it weird. And maybe you'll drive 20 people in a row, and it was never a good opportunity to give them a business card. Or maybe you drive 10 people in a row and it is. So don't be hell-bent on giving your business card to everyone. Just do it when it makes sense. Hand it to them and say, it was great talking to you. Let's stay in touch. Here's my info. That's it.
It's good. Keep it natural. Don't turn it into BNI, right?
Right.
Don't turn it into a business card exchange.
Exactly.
That's good. That's good. Well, awesome. If you guys want to read this episode or this post that Dustin put out, again, just text the word Dustin to 44222, and you can check it out. You did a great job of laying this post out too, man. It's very informative. So
thank you.
Good.
Thank you. And for anyone who's considering driving for Uber and giving it a shot, make sure you do look at my article first, because there's a code in there where you can get $100 bonus by signing up to be an Uber driver. If you don't go through that specific link, you won't get the bonus. So, it's one of those things. If you're going to do it, you may as well get an extra bonus. In some cities, the bonus is even more than 100. So check that out.
Cool. That's cool. Dustin, you almost talked me into being an Uber driver, man. You got me thinking.
Nice.
That's good. I got some kids growing up that I have to get through college. It might be my way of doing it. So that's good. Well, thanks again, Dustin, for being on the show. And thanks, man. This is great. This is great stuff. And thank you for listening to the Onion Juice podcast. And again, if you want to find out more about this and follow Dustin, again, just text the word Dustin to 44222. And thank you for listening to the Onion Juice podcast. And like always, remember to be the reason somebody smiles today.